when we are truly tuned into this presencing of the Holy Spirit, we are tuning into that all-knowing, all-loving presence that has woven each of us together on this journey. This is the same presence that has woven all of the stars together in the sky and all of the atoms of form together to create this planet, and all the atoms that are functioning in your body to create your human experience. This is the same presence of love that holds physical reality in place so that you and I can learn more about what it means to be sovereign divine creators through the experience of form. Now, when we choose to deeply commune with this Holy Spirit essence that is your higher self and is my higher self, this higher self presence within us, we begin to surrender to the possibilities of what this presence can create through us. We begin to come into an awareness and a presencing that there is a divine creative power within us that wants to go ahead of you, above you, beneath you, behind you, and create for you on your behalf. And there's often a confusion about, well, how much am I involved as the creator, as a sovereign creator in the creation process? And I've got to be honest that the deeper I personally go in this ineffable mystery of what it means to be a sovereign creator within the one mind of Sophia, it's not really that much. The very best that comes out of me, I don't know how it comes out of me. It's a presence. It's a present thing, and it's a presence that comes through me. That is my higher self in communion with Sophia God. And this presence knows better than my human awareness what needs to be created next, what needs to be decided upon next, what needs to be tended to next, what needs to be noticed or acknowledged or honored or amended for. And this is very, very humbling to the human awareness. It's very, very humbling to our very precious human egos. The ego was designed as a part of the kind of inner ecosystem of having a human body. So what's happening when you integrate your higher self, this Holy Spirit presence of your higher self within a human form? It's as though you're asking two different motherboards to interface and begin operating seamlessly. That's really good. That was really the best way to come out so far. So what you're doing is you're asking two seemingly polar opposite interfaces, the carbon-based DNA of your human body, your biological human body, and the divine genome of the Sophia code to seamlessly interface and work as one. Now, that divine genome is the motherboard for your higher self. Your carbon-based DNA, it's the motherboard for your human awareness. Your human body is a part of the ecosystem of this planet because it's based upon the building blocks, the very elemental building blocks that are made possible through this planet's ecosphere. So if you have often felt as though there are two very different people inside your head, perhaps the self-doubting human awareness versus the very confident higher self, that's because there are literally two different aspects of creation attempting to have a gentle conversation with one another within you. Now, your higher self is always going to be gentle about it, but your human awareness may not always feel gentle about it. It may feel like a bull in a china shop. There may be days where you feel very, very stubborn and do not want to surrender to that omniscient, loving, kind presence that wants to make it so much easier for your human awareness every day. And we touched into this a little bit in our last class, where we got to explore a little bit through our dialogue of how attached are we to our identity of being that we experience through free will. We've been given this gift of free will. And what is we often define our individuality based on our free will. The fact that you and I have been given free will. It's the more you drop in with the gift of free will, it's such an over-the-top, unconditionally loving gift to give. Like the Creator, Sophia God, did not have to give you free will. Let's be clear. That did not have to happen. You could have been created as anything. You could have been created as a robot. You could be created as nothing. You didn't even have to be created. It's truly astounding that you were given a sovereign soul made in the image and likeness of God with a free will as a hologram of that God source consciousness. It's astounding. It's jaw-dropping. And because this is such a jaw-dropping, ineffable mystery that this is even possible, our human awareness often grasps for straws to categorize and label and compartmentalize and put into little tiny boxes the vastness and unlimited nature of our divinity and how that divinity fits into the greater scheme that we are actually a part of this one mind of Sophia. And in essence, we're all but cells within her body, and yet we are all vitally important cells. So to minimize the grandeur and the inconceivableness of this, the human ego tends to want to focus upon free will as the defining element of how you're different from everybody else, and you're the special individual. The truth is, everybody that's here has free will. It's not actually really that special in the sense of, other than the fact that it was such this extraordinary, unconditionally loving gift, it's not actually what sets you apart from anybody else. Isn't that interesting? And yet the ego is always grasping to define your individuality through that. Well, I can decide if I do this, and I can decide if I do that. Maybe if I make that choice, I'm going to discover myself of just how unique I am. And it's really not the point. It's just another way that our ego runs us around in circles away from how we truly can experience our ultimate power and our ultimate embodiment. So that is discovered through this process of focusing on how uniquely designed you were as a key code, which we started to touch into in chapter 4. That's where your true uniqueness is discovered and explored. That's where you get to find out who you really are. It's not based on the choices that you make. Although that's part of the, let's say, 101 and 201 discovery about your soul. But when you start to get into master level of discovery about who you really are, it's far less about the free will choices that you make, and it's far more about how do I surrender to the choice of no choice today, again and again and again. And surrendering to the choice of no choice is, as we've shared in other classes, the process of how do I allow my higher self to make all of the decisions that I need to make today? How do I invite that Holy Spirit presence that omnisciently is tuned in, tapped in, turned on to everything that I need and want and desire, and knows exactly how to get to those goals and those intentions and those prayers as quickly as possible? How do I come into alignment with that holy presence that already lives within me and allow myself to be guided by the teacher within. How do I learn how to say yes to that teacher within me over and over again so that my life becomes a living masterpiece in motion? That's how you find out how unique you are as a soul that is but one cell in the mind of Sophia. Because what you get to discover in that truly deep communion of learning how to say your yeses and your nos according to a higher power, your higher self within you, allowing that higher self within you to be the yes and the no for your human awareness. What you get to discover is what it feels like for the unlimited creative power of Sophia God to come flooding through your human embodiment, which is a very, very, very different way of how to create on the earth plane than how we're usually taught how to create on the earth plane, which is through human effort and logic, through the efforting and logic and linear thinking of your limited, localized human awareness. And there's some cool stuff that can be created from your limited, localized human awareness, like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Yep. Or making sure that when you drive your child to school that you stop at all the stop signs and that you're going the speed limit so that you don't get pulled over and your children gets to school safe and sound with their peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Things like that, localized human awareness is awesome at. Things like creating movements, ministries, businesses, creating the life that you want for your family, creating partnerships that are truly meant to last, allowing the creativity of your heart to come pouring through you, becoming networked with like-minded light workers that are seeking for you to co-create heaven and earth with as much as you are seeking for them, downloading divine blueprints for the multiple global crises that this planet is facing at this time. That's a different thing. That requires omniscient awareness, quantum energy, and a higher perspective flowing through you. This is why divine feminine Christ leadership, and for our men on the call that want to be embodying more of the divine masculine Christ leadership model, which is all really the same thing. We're talking about Christ consciousness. This is why we are on this journey to embody our higher self. Because those very, very important, pioneering, leading edge, revolutionary, radically groundbreaking things that we want to really, truly accomplish in this life require a different perspective, require a different perception, require an unlimited resource of love and compassion, and require stretching ourselves far beyond what our human awareness and ego structure would allow us to stretch into. It requires a truly divine force of nature within us to help us push beyond our resistances, our stubbornness, our woundedness, to be able to access the pure goodness that is within you and I, the pure creative potential that is within you and I to birth heaven on earth. And so in chapter 5, what we are being presented with is the good news that the Sophia Dragon Tribe are offering us a modern day mystery school in which you and I can be initiated every single day in how to embody our higher self consciousness, in how to embody this holy presence that can make better decisions for us so that our lives can be transformed as the reality of heaven within the earth of our bodies.